Hi, I'm Julia Perry, Volunteer Coordinator here at Rogers TV. It's National Volunteer Week, and on this Out of the Fog 20th Anniversary Special, we take a look back in the vault to some interviews Jason Piercey had with volunteer groups in our community. Enjoy!
Hello everybody, my name is Jason Piercey, and as you can see right here, this is Out of the Fog. I'm excited about tonight's episode. I think that we're about to have conversations that can value a lot of people. So we're going to talk to NL 911 because I don't know if you knew this or not, but literally everywhere in Newfoundland you can now dial 911 for your emergency response services, and that's a cool thing. And after that, we're going to talk to the go-getters. And like, I know like locally that's a bit of a colloquialism, but Go-Getters is a really, really cool program that the Community Sector Council puts out, and I think you're gonna wanna watch this. So we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's. You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Welcome back to Out of the Fog. Okay, I want to introduce you to Kerry Power. Hi, Kerry. Thanks for coming out. Executive Director of NL 911.
Yes.
So growing up out around the Bay, 911 was the TV show that I watched, right? So yes. Like, and it felt like a thing that existed in big fancy places that you could call one number, just, well, you three digits, and I don't think there's a more recognizable, at least like you said before in North America, I don't think there's a more recognizable series of numbers than 911. So let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do, what NL 911 is, and we'll go from there.
All right, so thank you so much for having me. Great opportunity to be able to speak to you guys about our province-wide 911 service. We implemented the province-wide 911 service back in 2015. Before that, it was in different pockets of the province, but now it's available 24/7, province-wide. It's important to kind of understand how that service works, though. So what is the service that you're getting when you call 911? There are three main things that you're going to be asked if you call 911. The first is, what's the emergency? So that's really important information. We're going to confirm the phone number. We get a number on our call display, but if the number's blocked, we won't get it. So we need to confirm the phone number of the caller, and as well the location. We don't automatically get the location information of a caller when the call is received. So this is really very critical information for us. So it's important for people to understand their whereabouts and know where they're located. And based on this information, our 911 call takers are able to identify the local emergency service responders for that area. And they'll transfer the caller to the emergency service provider that they need, who will dispatch resources for them. But then we'll also call the other emergency service providers who may need to respond as well.
So the location thing, I think in my head I just assumed that if you called 911, 911 knew where you were. Kind of like, I guess it's a very Hollywood thing that had been created in my head. Like, there's the scene of the satellite image and it just zooms in on wherever the phone is or whatever, and they just knew exactly where to go.
Right. So at the time of our implementation, Basic 911 was the available functionality to be able to roll out the province-wide service at the time, with the understanding that we would look for enhancements in technology to be able to get that critical information automatically when available. So we are working towards an enhancement called Next Generation 911 Service. It's going to take a couple of years because there's a bit of work related to obtaining the data needed for that service, civic addressing information, and the infrastructure required. But we're working towards that service, and the benefits of that one is that when we receive the call under a Next Generation 911 service, we'll automatically get the caller's phone number, we'll get their location. In future iterations, we'll also provide the capability of texting to 911 service. That's different than the text with 911 service that we have right now for the persons who are deaf and hard of hearing and unable to communicate. But also video messaging and being able to call from devices. So a definite enhancement to technology. It's not available in Canada yet, but all provinces are working towards this next generation type of solution.
I think it's really interesting that it's important to distinguish that it's not available in Canada yet, because in Newfoundland, like we oftentimes in the past have had this sort of self-defeatist attitude that we would be the last people in Canada to get anything, right? And I think it makes sense to point out to everybody who's watching, so you, the audience, that us not having the ability to do that now is not a Newfoundland thing. This isn't in Canada. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's
like
new
that.
to Canada, and the CRTC decides for when the technology needs to be available from the telephone service providers, when the provinces need to be available to be able to connect to that service. So it's kind of CRTC-driven effort that's across Canada. And yes, we are definitely in the mix. We do have a different bit of an accommodation to that service, given that not all of our province has civic addressing. So we have areas that don't have civic addressing that we need to accommodate for. So that is part of our specific planning within province. But, you know, we are working towards being able to provide that next generation functionality province-wide, which is certainly an enhancement to the service that we have right now. I
mean, I can see the value in it, even just being able to text or a video message, or like it's a lot quieter to just be able to go.
Absolutely.
Than to make a phone call.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, different emergency situations can result in different needs from a 911 service. We do look for any potential enhancements that we can avail of right now. And over the past couple of years, we have been able to enhance our capabilities. One of them is, which of course just mentioned, text with 911 service for persons who are deaf, late deaf and hard of hearing, or have trouble communicating. So for this service, they do need to register with their cellular provider that they are a T911 user. And what happens with these calls, they still need to make a phone call because of our basic functionality. We can't text to 911 is not going to work. We still need to get that call so we can get that caller's phone number on our display. And based on any no voice call or a call where there's really hard trying to understand a caller, or any kind of inability to understand what's happening, our 911 call takers will check the T911 service system to see if this number is registered. If it is, then they initiate the texting conversation through that system with the caller.
So it's an automatic thing when whoever takes the call recognizes there is a likelihood that there's going to be a communicative concern here. So they'll automatically,
So any no voice call or any call where it's really trouble understanding a caller, they will check that system to identify if they're T911 registered. If they are, then they initiate that texting conversation and will coordinate with the emergency service providers.
I really like that, because in the case of an emergency where somebody has to reach out to 911, having gathered the time and space and presence of mind to make that phone call is likely an accomplishment. Yeah. Then after that fact, excuse me, after that fact, trying to then gather yourself again to go through this other third system or whatever the case is. So I really like that the responder is the one who can say, no, I got to pull the trigger on this thing here now because, yeah, that's good.
Right, and then we will coordinate with the emergency services on that person's behalf. So we're really proud of that. That also is, of course, province-wide. And with regards to location services, we're always looking for ways that we can enhance the technology that the 911 call takers have access to. So being with a basic 911 service right now, we don't have location automatically supplied. So we have availed and implemented in our public safety answering points, PSAPs, where the 911 call is received, location tools for cellular callers. So basically, this functionality provides 911 call takers with the availability of getting the location of cellular callers without having to go through the call trace process through the phone provider. So that has provided them with more efficiency in being able to locate callers who are not sure where they are. Usually they'll just tell us.
The thing.
Yeah. So
like, where are you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
If they provide a community, easy. We can identify the local responders for that community, no problem.
One thing that I find interesting is you were talking about cell phones and being able to find cell phones. So it's always sort of blown my mind a little bit. And I guess it's a really cool thing for a cell phone provider to be able to do. But a phone that isn't on contract, that you can't use for anything, that doesn't have any service, can still call 911. I think that's really cool.
Right. So it depends on the device that you have, but yes, there is functionality available for these old cell phones that do not have a plan to be able to contact 911 in an emergency. The trouble with these phones is that we are unable to trace them. So we have to speak to the caller to be able to identify the location. And it can cause problems if we have someone who's unable to communicate or unable to speak, and we're unable to locate that person because they're on what we call a decommissioned phone, or a phone that does not have a plan.
That's a good word, decommissioned.
Yeah. Another note is to not let your children play with these old cell phones, because it allows the availability and ability for them to call 911 accidentally.
I literally have done exactly that.
Exactly.
My little girl has had multiple old cell phones.
It's one thing when we know it's a child playing and we can kind of say, time to hang up, or is there actually an emergency happening, and be able to confirm that. But if it's a child playing and hanging up and not able to trace and determine where that call is coming from, or if there's an actual emergency happening, can be an issue. So we want people to be careful. And if they do accidentally call, then just stay on the line and let us know, and we're okay. So then we don't have to try to call them back.
Okay, so I can remember being younger, I thought that if you called 911 when there wasn't an emergency, they were going to know and you were going to be in trouble.
Well, we do ask that when it's an emergency.
Yeah.
It's a threat to life, safety, health, property, when emergency response is needed immediately. And if it's not in that area, our 911 call takers will let you know that's not an emergency. You need to call directly to such and such a
But if you do accidentally call...
If you accidentally call, stay on the phone and just let us know that it was an accident, because otherwise our 911 call takers are going to try to call you back to confirm there's no emergency, and that just wastes more time. So if you just stay on phone, let us know, it's fine. It's okay. We'd rather know and not have to try to call you back.
Excellent. Kerry, thank you so much for coming out.
And
ladies and gentlemen, I was this many years old when I learned that the people on the other end of the phone at 911 weren't going to hunt you down if you accidentally called them. Stay on the line and tell them all's good. We will be right back after this.
It all started when I racked up some serious debt. Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. Janes and Noseworthy came up with a plan. Knowing that the phone was going to stop ringing and that I was not in this alone was a huge relief. Bankruptcy or a consumer proposal or whatever help you get is not the end. It's just the beginning. A chance to start again with knowledge and support and people in your corner. Are you ready? Get out of debt. It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
Are you a woman experiencing abuse? Do you know a woman experiencing abuse? Help is available any time of day or night. ShelterSafe.ca is an online map that helps you find a women's shelter or transition house that meets your needs so you can live a life free from violence. ShelterSafe.ca. Help is just a click away.
Welcome back to Out of the Fog. Let me introduce you to a couple of special people. This is Lindsay Hines. Lindsay, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
This is Joanne Hart. Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
I think your name is, I don't know why, but in my head I'm trying to figure out, why is the name Joanne Hart so familiar and so striking to me? I don't know what it is, but I think you just got a great name.
Thanks.
So we're here to talk about Go-Getters, which is a part of the Community Sector Council, for which you are the engagement coordinator.
Yes, sir.
And Joanne, you're a go-getter.
Yeah.
You're a participant in this organization or in this program. So what I want to do, because we talked about this nearly exactly a year ago, you mentioned to me. So let's remind our audience, all y'all, if you can't recall exactly what Go-Getters is, just what's the 411?
Okay, so we are hosted locally by the Community Sector Council, Newfoundland and Labrador, and we are actually funded by the Canada Service Corps. So it is a youth service initiative for young people in the metro area from ages 19 to 30. And every young person who applies commits to...
I really like that up to 30, you're still a young person. Like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm not as old as I thought I was.
Well, it's kind of shocking. It's marketed as a youth program, and a lot of people go, well, that must be for age 14, but actually the government's definition of a youth is up to age 30. So
that must be because of how immature we are.
Well, I took it, like, I was really excited about it when I found out. And I was like, yes, I'm a youth. So yeah, they really enjoy that piece when they're on the higher side of the 30.
Oh yeah.
When they're 19, they're like, I'm not a youth.
I'm a grown up.
Right. So yeah, they commit to 120 hours of service in a year. And those hours are dedicated in usually the three areas of civic engagement, advocacy, and community service. The project is youth-led, so each year is different, and we are currently just starting recruitment for our third cohort.
Cool. So cohort, of course, being a collection of individuals who are working on a similar thing, and Joanne, you are in a cohort. So rather than, Lindsay, because I know that you can just go on and tell me all of these things, right? We've met. You're like me. So I'm wondering, tell me well, first of all, tell me why you got involved.
So I stumbled across the application on Twitter last year, and me being me, I was kind of hesitant to sign up. And then I decided, you know what, like, I don't have anything to lose. I'm just going to go for it and see what it's all about. And I am so thankful that I did that.
Yeah, cool. So what do you do? What are the activities that you engage in?
We do a little bit of everything, honestly. So the biggest things that I've done, I had a service project. So for that, I teamed up with Food First NL.
Oh,
and yeah, it was totally because I was interested in food insecurity, and especially among youth. I just finished a degree at MUN, and through the Lions Club there, I had some work done with the food bank and a breakfast program and stuff there. And I kind of wanted to carry that into my life outside of MUN. I didn't know how until I met Lindsay and the Go-Getters.
Cool. And
so I ended up hosting an event. I had some Go-Getters come, and they brought some peers. And we had a really great discussion about food insecurity and ways that we can kind of maybe make that problem a little bit better.
It's sort of kismet. I just did an interview with Food First NL. Like, it just aired like last week or the week before. So the way that stuff lines up is really, really fascinating. I'm a little upset that you didn't ask me to come to your event. Oh. Because like I would have come.
You had to be under 30.
Why you gotta rub it in? Like, we were just talking about how good I felt about feeling like I was still almost youth. Yeah, so how long have you been doing this now?
So this is my third year.
Yeah.
Year one, every year was, it wasn't a multi-year funding, but it did get funded again.
So they like extend another year if they see the benefit in the previous year? Is that kind of how that works?
Essentially, they go through a process. And yeah, the Canada Service Corps funded us again for year 3, so cool. We must be doing something right.
Clearly.
We're very fortunate this year. There's 14 go-getters. We are wrapping up. Joanne here has almost 200 service hours in less than a calendar year.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and she
That's enough to get your stamps.
Almost.
She maintained 2 jobs, actually.
Yeah, at times 2 jobs, and I still managed to get over and above the 120 required hours. And I think that speaks to how flexible the program is. As somebody who is working full time, I could still arrange my schedule, and they arrange theirs to kind of meet in the middle. And yeah, it's been really great.
So you mentioned the required service hours, right? So I guess that's just a part of the platform or the program.
That's a Canada Service Corps requirement. Yeah.
Okay, to do 100. So that's how that requirement lines up with the access to funding. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's just it's Canada wide, so all Canada Service Corps programs will require this 120 magic number.
Okay.
So it's just a baseline.
Yeah, and once that 120 hours was hit, Joanne, like, is there something in your head that could possibly be like, okay, I did it, I'm done?
It wasn't even a conversation that we had, honestly. Like, I just wanted to keep going. So did you even know that it happened? Yeah, we get monthly updates. So at the end of every month, I know how many hours I have up to that point. And so I hit the 120, and I was like, well, like, that's awesome, but I want to keep going. Like, I had no intention on, like, slowing down at that point.
So other than the feel goods that come from doing something that is worthwhile, especially food insecurity, working with Food First NL, and what's been going on in the world over the last little bit, like, there's the potential over time that, I mean, we're on an island. If we don't figure out sustainable opportunities, there could be the potential that it's hard to get food into us, right? So other than feeling really good about volunteering and doing these things, what benefit is it to Joanne to be able to say, I did this go-getters thing?
There's benefits on top of benefits, really. So from that service project that I had, I learned how to reach out and communicate with another organization. I learned what goes into hosting and organizing an event, the space. I also had to deal with making sure everything was under COVID regulations, too. So that was a whole lot of learning. But it's not just that one project. That was almost a small part of the whole.
Minute.
Yeah. It's really, we've had so many different learning opportunities, from like how to network to emergency first aid, mental health first aid. But not only that, we learned how to kind of meet people and talk to people and get to know people as well. I'm also at a service placement at the Salvation Army Chess Penny Center of Hope.
Oh, cool.
And through there, I've met so many amazing people, and that experience has been really great as well.
So, I mean, when the time comes that, like, you're interviewing for something and you're like, well, I mean, I've been an event coordinator and organizer. I've done fundraising for large organizations. I'm a project manager. I've done, so a lot of the benefit of this is, do you need a job? No. So a lot of the benefit of this is not so much that, like, because when I was younger, I did the how come I can't remember what it's called? The Duke of Edinburgh Awards, which is a similar kind of program. It's it's a youth initiative for what I would consider actual youths, not adults. If you can go to a bar, like, you're not supposed to be doing the Duke of Edinburgh. But yeah, I really like that it's geared towards an age demographic where the lessons that you learn are directly applicable to the coming years of your life.
Exactly.
Right? Absolutely. So what's next?
So what's next? We are recruiting for year 3.
And do you mean more youths?
Yes. Yes. We want, basically, one of the problems that we see are that, a young person, and I say young person, ages 19 to 30, who is, like, working and maybe a month student but don't have to be, could have children, could have a spouse. The community involvement and the community building relationships is really lacking. So this year, obviously, the pandemic, we locked down 2 times. Our program had to flip and go virtual. I thought for sure the go-getters were going to say, I'm not getting out of this program what I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled and shocked sometimes that nobody quit.
Yeah.
They stayed engaged. They still saw the benefit of the program, and they really wanted that community. So
that could be a demographic thing too, right? Like, to be able to be virtual between 19 and 30 is a much more natural transition than perhaps it would have been if we were talking about people between, I don't know, 40 and 50 or 50 and 60 or whatever the case is?
They still identified that they couldn't wait to be back in person, and we meet now so safely and follow all protocols. But they were happy that when we could get back together, and we've been very creative. We've been outdoors a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So right now you want more go-getters.
Absolutely.
So you want more people, age 19 to 30, who want to learn cool skills, be involved with cool organizations, put those hours in, and be able to look back on it and reflect afterwards, like Joanne, Hart, and be like, this is a really, really cool thing that I did.
Yeah.
So where can people go to look that up? And
So it's a very simple application. It's actually on the Community Sector Council Newfoundland and Labrador's website. Or they can look us up on Facebook or Instagram at Go Getters Newfoundland.
Easy.
It's a super short application. They're guaranteed an interview. And we can't wait to get going.
Awesome. Can't wait to get going. So, I mean, you probably said that a million times, but in my head, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Go-getters, get going. Cool. Lindsay, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
I got it. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Melissa Joan Hart. That's why I remembered it. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for coming out. Wonderful. Go-getters, if you are 19 to 30 and you like to go get it done, then these people need more people like you. We will be right back after this.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Thanks for joining us for this Out of the Fog 20th anniversary special. And happy National Volunteer Week to all the volunteers out there. And a special thank you to our volunteers here at Rogers TV. We couldn't do what we do without you. If you'd like to volunteer, check out rogerstv.com. Join us next time on Out of the Fog.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
This is Rogers TV.